Imagine this, an elite Navy SEAL commander, battle-hardened and unshakable, suddenly left speechless when a quiet young woman calmly lifted the Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle and shattered a record thought impossible, hitting a target from 3,247 meters away. He had seen warriors, he had seen legends, but never had he seen a kill shot like that. And what happened next didn't just shock the SEALs around her, it would change the future of special operations forever. Before I dive into this mind-blowing story of courage, betrayal, and impossible odds, make sure you hit that subscribe button right now. Because the twists in this story are so wild, you'll want to stay until the very last word. Now, let's begin. It started on a dusty training range tucked far away from the public eye in Nevada, where the Navy's most secretive units tested new recruits and foreign allies under the cover of classified operations. Among them stood Commander John Riker, a man who had fought in Iraq, Afghanistan, and beyond, a SEAL who carried scars both on his body and in his soul. He had seen hundreds of sharpshooters, from Marines to Delta Force, yet when his eyes fell on the woman they called Shadow, he dismissed her instantly. She was young, too quiet, her frame lean but not intimidating, and worst of all, she was holding the massive Barrett M82A1 like it weighed nothing, as if she belonged with the rifle more than with people. Riker smirked, whispering to his second-in-command, "What is she doing with the Barrett 60? That's not a rifle, it's artillery." He expected failure, maybe embarrassment, something to prove his doubts right. But then Shadow adjusted her scope, slowed her breathing, and let off a single shot. The sound cracked like thunder across the range, echoing for what seemed like forever. They waited. Seconds ticked, then the distant metal target, so far out it was barely visible to the naked eye, snapped and fell backward, a perfect center hit. Gasps rippled through the crowd of seasoned operators, men who prided themselves on toughness and precision, now staring at the young woman who had just pulled off the impossible. But Shadow didn't smile, didn't flinch, didn't even acknowledge their awe. She simply chambered another round, her eyes cold and focused. What none of them knew was that this shot was only the beginning of a deadly chain of events that would test loyalty, expose betrayal, and drag them all into a mission that went far beyond training. For in the shadows of that Nevada desert, an enemy was already watching. The next days blurred into intense drills, grueling endurance tests, and endless hours of marksmanship trials. Yet Shadow never faltered. She carried the Barrett with an ease that disturbed even the strongest of SEALs, and her ability to vanish into cover earned her the codename she now lived by. But the more she impressed the men, the more she disturbed Commander Riker. To him, no skill came without a cost, and something about her precision felt inhuman, as if she were hiding something darker. His suspicions proved right when one night intercepted intel revealed whispers of a mole inside the very camp they trained in. Weapons schematics had been leaked, coordinates of training ops sold to unknown buyers, and Shadow's name appeared in coded chatter. Riker's gut twisted. Was she a genius sniper or a planted spy? He confronted her under the glow of a lantern, demanding the truth. She stared back, her voice calm but heavy. "Commander, you're not ready to hear what I know." Before he could press further, alarms screamed across the base. Drones had locked onto their position. The night lit up with explosions as missiles rained down, tearing apart barracks and vehicles. Chaos erupted. Operators scrambled for weapons, and in the center of it all stood Shadow, Barrett in hand, picking drones out of the sky with impossibly timed shots that saved countless lives. The SEALs began to realize she wasn't their enemy. She was the reason they were still breathing. But as the smoke cleared, Riker noticed something chilling. The precision of the drone strike had targeted his command tent specifically. This wasn't just about training. Someone wanted him silenced. And Shadow? She wasn't just a recruit, she was the key to unraveling it all. With their base compromised, the survivors were forced into a covert mission far sooner than planned. Riker, Shadow, and a select few SEALs were deployed to Eastern Europe, where intelligence pointed to a rogue private military contractor known as Black Vulture, a group notorious for selling US secrets to the highest bidder. What stunned Riker was Shadow's reaction. She wasn't surprised. In fact, she knew the terrain, the enemy tactics, even the names of Vulture's top commanders. The team grew suspicious. On a rain-soaked night, crouched in a ruined church overlooking a valley, Riker finally demanded the truth again. Shadow lowered her rifle and spoke in a voice raw with memory. "Black Vulture killed my father. He was the one who trained me to shoot before I could even ride a bike. He was one of yours, an army sniper left behind on a mission gone wrong." "They executed him, Commander. I joined to finish what he started." Silence followed, broken only by thunder. Now it made sense. Her inhuman calm, her obsession with distance, her refusal to break. She wasn't just a recruit. She was a weapon forged from vengeance. The mission took them deep behind enemy lines, where Shadow's 3,247-meter shot finally came into play. The target, Vulture's leader, hidden in a fortress miles away, shielded by mercenaries and tech. The SEALs doubted it could be done, but Shadow didn't hesitate. Adjusting for wind, humidity, and curvature of the earth itself, she squeezed the trigger. Minutes later, the fortress erupted in chaos. The leader had fallen, struck down by a shot so impossible it rewrote the rules of sniping. The team stared in awe, whispering what Riker himself once mocked. What is she doing with the Barrett? The answer was now undeniable. She was rewriting history. But victory came at a cost. Their extraction was compromised, and betrayal struck from within their own ranks. The final chapter unfolded like a nightmare. A trusted SEAL, one of Riker's oldest brothers-in-arms, revealed himself as Black Vulture's mole. He had fed them intel, guided them into traps, and now aimed his weapon at Riker himself. Shadow reacted first, diving into the line of fire, taking a round meant for the commander. Blood stained her gear, but her eyes burned with defiance. With her last strength, she steadied the Barrett once more and fired, not at the traitor, but at the detonator in his hand. The explosion ripped through the valley, ending the mole and scattering the remaining mercenaries. Extraction came at dawn, helicopters roaring in, as Shadow lay on the stretcher, fading but alive. Riker stood beside her, no longer doubting, no longer mocking. He saluted her, a gesture of respect reserved for legends. Word of her shot spread across the military, whispered in mess halls and briefings. The woman who pulled the impossible trigger at 3,247 meters. Shadow's kill wasn't just a record, it was a warning to every enemy who thought the US had limits. And as the helicopters carried them away, Riker's words echoed in every heart present. Never ask what she's doing with the Barrett again. She's doing the impossible.